Ta-da! Ta-da! Real quick, guys, I forgot to attach my mic. Oh, how are we all doing today? Today's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna be talking about Nova Scotia Provincial Nominee Program. I just wanted this session to be very exciting. Hello, who do we have here? I see one person watching. Please let me know your name in the comment section. Watching from. How are you doing? Whoa, I see there are two people. Okay, this is Beatrice. I'm your expert panelist with Canada International Work and Study Resource Center. I just thought to make it a little bit fun. Like, people haven't been showing up for a while, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna surprise these people. I'm gonna wear glasses today and be like, hello. So welcome back. So I'm Beatrice. I'm your expert panelist with Canada International Work and Study Resource Center, and I offer you all the invaluable information you need in order for you to have a smooth transition to your new home, which is Canada. I myself have lived there for 10 years of my life, and I'm very knowledgeable with respect to the things you need to know with respect to Canada. So who are we? If you're watching, if this is your first time watching, because we do stream this as well on the website, this is your first time watching, we're called Canada International Work and Study Resource Center. We offer you, we are an educative platform. We're also a consultancy, so we help you to move to Canada at an affordable rate. We are reputable, we have integrity, we're RCIC licensed, which means we are regulated by the government of Canada. So we're not just any kind of, we're not a sleazy consultancy firm that's out there to get people's money and don't do the work. We'll work our butts. We have people who are experienced, who have been doing this for years, and they will endeavor that you come to Canada in a very painless fashion. Okay, when we say licensed RCIC, it's a licensure that is given to people who operate that are regulated in Canada, people who operate in terms of consultancy and bringing people to Canada, which means the government, they know us by name. The officials, when we submit an application, they will prioritize our applications, which is your application compared to other consultancy, because we are licensed. Okay, so please book your, if you're looking to study, you're looking to work, you're looking to immigrate via permanent residency, come to us. We are your go-to consultancy firm. And so today we have an interesting topic. It's called Nova Scotia Provincial Nominee. If you are watching, this is your first time, I recommend you go listen to our other videos, because you're missing out on a lot of wonderful things. We've talked about quite a lot of things, a number of things that would help you with your Canadian journey. We've talked about Alberta provincial nominee, we've talked about Ontario, we've talked about British Columbia, we've talked about Saskatchewan, we've talked about New Brunswick, we've talked about how to prepare before coming to Canada, we've talked about the benefits of permanent residence, we've talked about the benefits of moving to Canada, we've talked about quite a number of things that it's pretty enlightening. I've had someone say this is an eye-opener in one of our webinar sessions. I've had someone say, wow, they never knew all this. We've had quite a lot of wonderful remarks. Okay, so take advantage of this opportunity. I mean, while it's free, I keep seeing this as a coursework, right? If you have questions, or you're looking to start your study process abroad, or your work process abroad, or permanent residence abroad, or you want to visit Canada, you can visit. If you don't want to stay, you can just come visit and go back. Send us a DM on our Facebook page, and one of our experts will get in touch with you. If you want to book a one-on-one consultation with me, I've had people say they want me to mentor them with respect to moving to Canada. It is possible, but it's called consultation. Yeah, I call it clarity call, right? So what I will do, I will break things down and clarify what skill set you have, what occupations you have, and which province would work best for you, which province has your job in high demand. That way you're not floating around, right? That way you're immersed into that province, because it's better for you to go to a province where your skill is highly sought out for than go to a province where your skill is not needed. If you're in a province where your skill is not needed, you will struggle. But if you're in a province where your skill is in high demand, you will excel. Okay? So, Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia provincial. That's why I wore these glasses. I mean, there are some fun things about Nova Scotia. Like they are known for lobsters. Those people who like shrimps, crabs, and all that. They have blueberries. They're known for high tides. Their minimum wage is $14.50, and they will be increasing that to $15. They have affordable housing as well compared to Ontario, and their provincial nomination is free. You don't pay money like you do. Remember, for those who are watching me, who are following, for British Columbia, you have to pay at least $1,650. But Nova Scotia, I mean, you submit your stuff. Now, that does not mean you won't pay for your permanent residency. You will pay. You will show proof of fund. I would discuss that as we move along in this webinar. However, submitting application is free, and you can go ahead and send us a message if you want to start your permanent residency, if you're a provincial nominee, to Nova Scotia. And I don't want to assume that everybody watching me here is knowledgeable about provincial nominee. I've been saying this on all the webinars. Provincial nominees, it's the pathway whereby the provinces recruit foreign nationals and skilled workers to come and work for their province, right? They're recruiting people to work for their province. So Nova Scotia is very small. It's one of the smallest. It's beautiful, but it's breathtaking. It's beautiful. It has clean air, has ocean spaces. That's why, I mean, yesterday I talked about Atlantic Immigration Pilot Province. So, I mean, you can immigrate to Nova Scotia via Atlantic Pilot Program. However, your intent would be coming to Nova Scotia, and your job offer would be from Nova Scotia. Now, remember, from yesterday, I said that I'll be talking about those provinces that are Atlantic. So remember, New Brunswick, we've already discussed New Brunswick. New Brunswick, if you've not listened to that, please go listen to that webinar. It's on our page, okay? New Brunswick is an Atlantic province. Nova Scotia is an Atlantic province. Prince Edward Island is an Atlantic province. Newfoundland and Labrador is an Atlantic province, okay? So the reason I'm discussing Nova Scotia is because it's very enlightening. A lot of people don't know the advantage of these things. Like there are 1,000,001 ways to come to Canada. You don't have to go to Ontario. Everybody wants to go to Toronto. That's how they call it. But I want you guys to know, Toronto is not the only place in Canada. There are other places that are farm-field. It's just that it's very populated, okay? And Nova Scotia is close to the Atlantic regions, right? It's in the east coast of Canada. Yesterday, I listed some of the programs that Nova Scotia offers. So today, I will be buttressing, like I will elaborate more on those programs. Now, the ones I would elaborate more on are the ones that is affordable. Like I said, we are Canada International Work and Study Resource Center, like you see it on my shirt. And we are affordable, right? So I would not be discussing a program that you would pay tons of money for. I mean, when there are other programs that you can pay less, right? And another thing I tell my viewers is if you go to Nova Scotia, you don't like it, you can always get out of that province and go to another province, a province which you like, right? So Nova Scotia provincial streams include the Nova Scotia labor market priority. If everything looks like a jargon to you, I would recommend you listen to one of our webinars where we talked about permanent residency, understanding permanent residency. I would recommend you go listen to that webinar because that webinar, it's pretty much enlightening. Whatever you need to know is out. It's in there in terms of no code, CRS, express entry draws, provincial nomination. So you understand it. Like me repeating myself over and over, it's kind of steals from the time, and it would not allow me to talk about what I'm supposed to talk about. So I'm not going to be talking about NOC because I assume you know what those are. Another word for NOC is tier, okay? So Nova Scotia provincial streams include Nova Scotia labor market priority, the Nova Scotia labor market priority for physician, the physician stream, the entrepreneur stream, the international graduate entrepreneur stream, international graduate in demand stream, the skilled worker category occupation in demand, and Nova Scotia experience express entry. Okay, so these are there are about 9 of them, right, under Nova Scotia. Now, are you guys beginning to see what I was talking about when I said that the advantage of the Atlantic immigration program is enormous? I mean, yesterday I talked about the things you need, right, for like the Atlantic province. Technically, you need a job offer from either of the Atlantic province, you need an education requirement, you need language requirements, and then you need settlement funds. However, if you've tried that pathway, because I mean, it's not a point-based system, right? It's first come, first serve. You try that didn't work. What next? You can actually immigrate directly to the province, and that is the province of Nova Scotia. So the first provincial stream
I will talk about with respect to Nova Scotia, because I want us, I mean, I really would have loved this to be interactive. Where did everybody go? Right, where did everybody go? Please, if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay so we know where you're watching from. Tell us your name. Share this in your stories, in your reels, in your profile, so that other people can take advantage of it. Okay. So the first provincial nomination type under Nova Scotia provincial nomination I will talk about is the Nova Scotia International Graduate in Demand stream, right? The reason I'm buttressing about international graduates, I'll say 80% of the people who come to us for consultancy, who patronize our service, are students. There are people who are looking to study. And one fun fact you need to know, the student visa is the fastest way to come to Canada. If you're looking to come to Canada, like let's say you don't want to wait, you don't want to become a permanent resident, you just want to get out of your home country like most Nigerians, I just want to japa, I just want to get out. Then the student visa is the best for you because it's faster, right? They have different departments. Canada is very structured and they are very organized, right? They are very organized to a fault, I would say. They would rather have different departments for different sections of application processing. So the section dedicated to the student visa, they have quite a lot of officials there. I don't know for the permanent residency. I can't speak for that because the reason is because I've had someone who got their student permit, their study permit in less than 2 weeks. They got approved in like 4 days technically, right? So it's the fastest way, to immigrate to Canada. So the reason I'm focusing on Nova Scotia international graduates is that people who school in Nova Scotia has an advantage, right? So recent graduates in Nova Scotia who have worked in certain codes, so nurses, people who are in the health sector, right? Patient service associates, childhood educators, assistants, they are eligible under this field, especially if they've schooled in Nova Scotia, right? So what they need to have is a full-time job offer, or even if they are working with an employer in Nova Scotia, they're already eligible. They have to be between 21 to 55 years of age. They have to have financial support in Nova Scotia. And hello, I see one person watching. Let me know where you're watching from. Thank you so much for taking our time to watch our webinar. I really appreciate it. My name is Beatrice with CIWSRC and I'm your expert panel. So today we were talking about Nova Scotia and I'm just buttressing the Nova Scotia International Graduate in Demand stream, okay? Because most of our clients here are people who are looking to study in Canada. So I felt, okay, let's start with the people who are going to school. So people who are nurses, this stream is wonderful for you. It's easier for you to get your permanent residency via this stream. And the good thing about this stream is the fact that you don't actually have to crack your head for IELTS, right? Although IELTS is a requirement, right? But the Canadian language benchmark is 5. So which means you can get a 4.5 in listening, 5 in speaking, 5 in writing, 5 in listening, and your CLB is 5. Now, I usually recommend you get higher because of the express entry profile. Remember, in the express entry profile, you need to get at least band 7. I've seen people who got in with band 5. Sometimes the system may reject you. There's some people they allow, there's some people it rejects them. And the good thing about getting a CLB 7, it means like you are you'll be speaking English in the country and you don't want English to be a barrier for you. So the whole reason behind, and it's not just Nigerians that write out, everybody writes out, whether you're from, I remember Prince Charles, not Prince Charles, King Charles's son, the Duke and Duchess, I remember, what's his name? Prince Harry, the one who married Meghan. He they told him that he needs to write the IELTS exam. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, really? Like, really? Not to get familiarity, you are the son of the Queen of England. But they are not trying to be racist or anything. It's just the process. And Canada goes by the law. If you've been listening to me for a while, Canada is rights driven. I think I talked about that when I started the webinar sessions. Canada is rights driven. You must know your rights. And if you don't know your rights, you're going to suffer because Canada is rights driven. Okay, so you need to know your rights. Even as an international student, you have rights. Yes, you do. Go watch my webinars. I've talked about rights a couple of times. You have rights in Canada, so you need to know your rights, okay? So the next provincial stream under Nova Scotia I'll be talking about is the express entry stream. Now, for the express entry stream, you don't actually have to do a lot. All you need to do is fill your information under the federal express entry system. Tick Nova Scotia as the province of interest. You have to be between 21 years of age to 55 years. The reason I love Nova Scotia? They give time for age. So if you are 30, you can still come to Canada via Nova Scotia. As long as you get your provincial nomination, your PNP, it boosts your CRS points. You don't have to worry about anything else. You submit your information and hopefully everything goes well. They approve you. You get your permanent residency. You're coming to Canada even if you are 50 years of age. So please share this with people. Some people be like, I'm 40. Can I still come to Canada? Yes, you can. I'm 50. Can I still come to Canada? Yes, you can. However, once you're 55, you can't come in, right? So the age is between 21 to 55 years of age. I mean, if you're 18, you can come, but I would recommend using a different province. However, the reason they put 21 to 55, I mean, you are a very well thinking, matured adult, and you can take decisions independently. Okay. You also need to show proof of fund. You also need to have at least 1 year experience. So either you have 1 year experience in the last 3 years, and you follow that Canadian experience class, you have a skill trade 2 years in the last 5 years, that's a federal skill trade, or you have 1 year 1 year experience in the last 10 years, that's a skilled worker program, and it has to be full-time. Okay, it has to be in a full-time job. Now the advantage about the skill, if you've listened to my permanent resident, can I see your comments? Can I see your I need this to be interactive. If you've been watching me, what is the commonality about the federal skill? What's the difference between the federal skill trade and the federal skill worker? One of them you need to have a job offer, and the other you don't have to. I would love to see your comments. I would love to see your comments if you've been watching me. So I'm just gonna give it a little bit of time. Anyone wants to answer? What is the difference between the federal skill trade and the federal skilled worker? If you've been watching me and if you've been following up with the Canada vibe and the permanent residency stuff I've been talking about for a while. Okay, so for federal skilled worker, you don't need a job offer. Okay, you just need to have experience in the last 10 years. For federal skilled trade, you need to have a job offer. Okay, so for the Nova Scotia Express entry, when they say you need to have at least 1 year work experience, you can fall in any of those 3 programs I mentioned: Canadian Express class, federal skilled trade, federal skilled worker program, and you have to show proof of fund. Now, this is the thing about Canada: the more money you show, the better for you. Right? The more money you show that you have in your bank account, the better for you, because they don't want you to be a liability, right? I mean, when you do your medical exam, I believe I've talked about this under the permanent residency route. Hello, I see there are 2 people. Let me know your name, where you're watching from, in the comment section. I know this is going to be an enlightening session for you. Our topic today is Nova Scotia Provincial Nominee Program, and we just dealt with 2 of the programs under the Nova Scotia Provincial Nominee. We've talked about the Nova Scotia International Graduate in Demand, and we've talked about the express entry, which I'm just currently concluding. Okay. And one big thing about Nova Scotia, for those 2 people who just joined, you can be between 21 years to 55 years of age. So age is not a problem. Okay. As long as you're able to show proof of fund and you're able to support yourself and family, you're not going to depend on the Canadian government. Now, number 3 on our list is the skilled worker, Nova Scotia skilled worker. Now, the thing about Nova Scotia, it says, good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria. Shogudo Oladele Patience. Thank you so much, Shogudo Oladele Patience, for watching. Patience, thank you so much for joining. I can't remember, but I remember you sending a message with respect to immigrating to Alberta. So just rephrase. I saw your message and I did mention that someone to get in touch with you on our Facebook page. So how are you doing, Patience? When are you looking to move to Canada? Just keep me in the know so we can help you with that process. Okay, thank you so much for watching. So number 3 here is the skilled worker program under Nova Scotia Provincial Nominee. So one good thing about Nova Scotia is whether you're working in Nova Scotia or you're outside of Nova Scotia, it's not a problem. Whether you're in Canada or you're outside of Canada, it's not a problem, as long as you have the skills they are looking for. And that would bring me to one of their stream called the market priority stream, the labor market priority stream. They are looking for people who can fill labor shortages. I mean, they have one of the lowest population. They have just 1 million people. That's small. Imagine you just have 1 million people in a whole country. Like, it's not a country, it's a province, right? But it's small. It's not a lot of people. Nova Scotia is very small. So if you have that skill, then by all means they would grab you. They actually will be the one looking for you. I mean, you have to have 1 year experience in the skill. If you're a manager, if you're a doctor, whoever you have to have 1 year experience. You have to meet the Canadian language benchmark, which is not a lot. It's CLB5, right? And then you have to have like a certification. So if you're a licensed doctor, you have to show certification for that. And that brings me, there is a stream called the labor market priority for physician, for people who are doctors. Okay. They have the physician stream. It's just for general practitioners. It's for general practitioners, people who are general practitioners, people who are in the health field or in the health sector. That's the physician stream. So far we've talked about the international graduate in demand stream. We've talked about the skilled worker stream and the physician stream. Physician stream, the reason I wouldn't want you to bother about it is because, I mean, Canada is a country that would rather take a physician from their own. The idea behind this is the physician should already be working in Canada and stuff. I mean, you can give it a try, send us a DM and we can start the application process for you. But in Canada, there's something they call MCAT. So most people who are in Canada, they have to, if you want to get into medicine, you have to first do a 4 years program in a university. After that, you have to write your MCAT, you have to do residence, you have to be a permanent resident, and then you become a doctor in the country. However, Nova Scotia has the physician stream. So if this is something you're interested in, send us a DM. It's just tailored to general practitioners and physicians. Okay, now there's the entrepreneur pathway. The reason I'm not going to buttress about this because we are an affordable consultancy firm. I don't want you to start spending $150,000 to move to Nova Scotia. I mean, that's for entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, you're able to afford that. Because your net worth has to be at least 600,000 Canadian dollars. If you have that, you are looking to set up a business in Canada, by all means, yeah, right, will definitely help you. But that stream, so the entrepreneur stream, you spend quite a lot of money. And you have to show proof, right, that the business you're bringing to Nova Scotia, is it good? Because definitely you're going to be giving jobs to Canadians. They will definitely want you by all means. How valid is that business? Would that business like run for a long time? I mean, there are a lot of things that need to be in place if you want to become an entrepreneur in Nova Scotia. They also have the International Graduate Entrepreneur Pathway. So it's for people who are graduates who have, studied in Nova Scotia and they have a business, right? Or they can have like a franchise with someone else. They have about 6%, I believe. They have to show a net worth of around 250,000 to 600,000 Canadian dollars. So the reason I'm not going to touch the entrepreneur and international graduate entrepreneur in detail is because it requires a lot of money. You have to show a lot of funding. If you have the money, by all means, you can, but we are an affordable consultancy firm, and I don't want to scare you off. Oh, $600,000. Where am I going to get that money from? Then you don't have to go through that process. It's just a type of program under the Nova Scotia provincial stream. And I really I'm someone who loves knowledge. I rather tell you something and ensure that you are aware about it instead of going blind. Ignorance is bad. Ignorance is evil. Ignorance will waste your time. Ignorance will put you in the mud. I have been a victim of ignorance. I stayed in Ontario for 10 years. The moment I was in Ontario, I should have moved to a different province that would have made life easier for me. But I stuck there because I had friends there and because people who I knew were there. Right? So, and that's the thing, you need to break out of yourself and network with other people. I think I've talked about the benefits of networking. You don't have to sit down in one province using the excuse that you don't know people. No. I mean, there are businesses that are going to need your skill. If Nova Scotia needs your skill, by all means, go to Nova Scotia. Okay, so the next one, I've also talked about the Express Entry, the Nova Scotia Express Entry stream. I believe I've talked about the international graduate in demand. So I'm going to talk about this Nova Scotia labor market priority. Okay. For the labor market priority, this is the thing. From the name, Nova Scotia labor market priority. If the labor needs in the province is we need nurses. I know Alberta is going through a lot right now, so they need a lot of health people right there. Like if you're a nurse, I mean, this is the time. This time is hot cake for nurses. If you're looking to travel to Canada and you know someone who is a nurse that's looking to, this is the time. Alberta had a fire hazard, and the whole province is health. They are running health scatter, so they are looking for health professionals, people who are nurses. If you know a nurse and the nurse is very skilled, they know what they are doing, tell them to go ahead and send us a DM and we can start applying for them in respect to PNP in Alberta. You will see Alberta will give them provincial nomination as soon as possible because why? They are looking for nurses. They are short in staff, and most of their Canadian health workers are already put under pressure because of what they are currently going through. So the more hands they have, the better for the province, because also they're trying to make money as well for the economy, right? They've given a lot of warning signs here and there. People are dying as well. Right, so the more hands, the more skills they have, the better. Because first of all, they need to take care of people who were victims of the fire, and second of all, they need to bring revenue to the province. they plan a lot. Canada is very structured and well organized. By the end of the year, the economy should be making this amount of money, which is the GDP, right? So the more workers they can get to the economy, skilled, experienced, excellent, and competent workers, the better for the economy. Okay, so Nova Scotia labor market priority. The last time they did a draw, they were looking for people who were French-speaking people. They were looking for people who had excellent English-speaking skills. I know they were looking for a nurse as well at some point. So when they say labor market, what are they currently looking for? What is in need in the market? That is what they're looking for. So the fun thing is you get a letter of interest from the province as soon as, for instance, let's say they are looking for, say, patients, for instance. Patients, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. Say, for instance, I remember you told me you were a manager in a massage therapist also. So let's say they're looking for a manager in that field. And on your express entry profile, you ticked Nova Scotia as one of the province. They go ahead and send you a letter of interest. You're good to go. You can use the express entry system. Otherwise, you can actually apply under the Nova Scotia online PNP platform. Or if you can't do that, send us a message and we can start the process for you. The province will give you a letter of interest. You submit your application within 30 calendar days. You have the minimum job requirement. Usually is 1 year. You have sufficient funds. You have a legal status in your country. Or if you are living in Nova Scotia, you have to show that you have a form of work permit. You have to meet all the eligibility criteria. The advantage about this labor market stream, they can even give it to, they can give, as long as Nova Scotia gives you a letter of interest, that's all you need. If you submit your application under the Federal Express Entry stream and you tick Nova Scotia as one of the provinces, you're good to go. So this labor market stream, there are people who they randomly got, they didn't even know they would get, they randomly got it. I mean, and that's how they moved to Nova Scotia. Because if a province gives you a letter of interest, by all means, you have to go to that province. Okay. So the province that, I mean, if the province is looking, it says labor market priority means first place, right? If they're looking for your skill set, then by all means, you have to be there. Now, they have the labor market priority for physician, but like I said, physician, you have to be a general practitioner, you have to be under the health field. This process is a little bit technical because for the physician, you have to have submitted your information on the Federal Express Entry system. There are some things you will need to do and get approved with the Health Services of Nova Scotia. It's called Nova Scotia Health NSHA or IWK. Okay, there are certain things you need to do. Family specialists, physicians. You have to provide. You have to sign a copy of the service you offer with the Nova Scotia Department of Health and Wellness. And I mean, you have to work in Nova Scotia for 2 years. Some people you may have worked there for 2 years as well. You get a letter of interest from. I mean, the process is a little bit tedious. I usually don't want to talk about the physicians. If you know someone who is a physician, by all means, but the process is tedious for physicians. And like I said, Canada would not really want to take someone who is a doctor that hasn't. The whole aim of this is for people who are physicians in Canada, probably in Ontario or Manitoba or in different province. I mean, they already have their license in Canada, right? It's not impossible. If you're a doctor outside of Canada, it's not impossible, but the process is going to be tedious. Just get prepared for it because in Canada, you have to have gone to 4 years, like you have to do 4 years program, BSc program. You have to write your MCAT and you have to meet the minimum. You know how I always say the minimum language benchmark is 5. MCAT, they can say, oh, the minimum score for MCAT that will be taken is 98%. Right? I know of someone who actually, oh my goodness, he's so smart. He's on LinkedIn as well. He's so smart. He was an international student. He got a scholarship from the Canadian government. Man, he's a doctor now. He is just super smart. So if you know people who are super smart that are going to go get into medicine, then by all means, let them know about the Nova Scotia labor market priority for physicians. It's always open, by the way, because they are looking for physicians and physicians that are competent, that know what they're doing. Like they know they know the business of the medicine. I mean, this is lives, right? Like they know what you're doing. Those are the people that the province of Nova Scotia will recruit for. You have to show proof of funds, legal status in your home country, or if you're living in, let's say you're living in a different province, you have to show proof for that. Now, you know this, in every single program under the Nova Scotia program, there are some commonalities, right? Proof of funds, age between 21 years to 55 years of age, legal status, certification. If you're a physician, you have to have the necessary certification. If you're a nurse, you have to have the necessary certification. If you are doing intermediate jobs, so say you are doing tier 4 is intermediate jobs, it requires high school diploma. You still have to show proof of your diploma or certification. Or if you do apprenticeship, you have to show proof. They need to see that what you are doing is legit and is legal. Okay, Canada will not just accept anybody into their country. No province will even do that, by the way. If they are requiring high school diploma, then yes, you have to show them that, okay, I have a high school diploma and it's legit, and I went to school from this period to that period. Okay, so you always have to show proof for whatever you do in Canada, because it's a very structured and organized country. Okay, so far we've talked about, so I'll just do a little bit of the brief. We've talked about Nova Scotia labor market priority for physician, which I didn't dive into because it's structured for people who are into medicine, general practitioners, specialists, and all that. I talked about the physician, I talked about the entrepreneur, international graduate entrepreneur. You have to have at least $600,000. So I didn't talk much about it. I buttressed international graduate in demand. So if you're joining now, please listen to the replay. Okay. I talked about the skilled worker. I talked about Nova Scotia express entry system. And then lastly, occupation in demand. Okay. Every province, I mean, there was a province that had occupation in demand. I believe that was Ontario. Yeah, Ontario had occupation in demand. So, I mean, it's also synonymous to the labor market stream. If Nova Scotia is looking for, let's say they're looking for a truck driver. Sorry, my book fell. So let's say Nova Scotia is looking for a truck driver. They would open that pathway under the Nova Scotia provincial nominee for a truck driver. But I'm going to list the skills that are currently in demand now in Nova Scotia. And Nova Scotia is very affordable. Like I told you guys, the minimum wage is $14.50. They have affordable housing, nothing to worry about. And it's pretty cold. And they also have warm season, right? Now, if you try the Atlantic Pilot program, it didn't work out, you can actually try Nova Scotia. Or especially, so the different pathway to come to Canada is much with Nova Scotia. I mean, if you try Atlantic Pilot program, it didn't work for you, you can try the provincial program. If that doesn't work for you, you can try the so you see, there is so many ways to get in. But if you go to Ontario, just express entry, that's it. Or you can, if your program is open, and Ontario closes and open the portal, Nova Scotia is always open. So for occupation in demand, I'm going to list the skills that are currently in demand. And please, if you know someone who has these skills, send them this webinar so that they can take advantage of this. So there's the food and beverage, people who are into food and beverage sector. The NOC code is 65200. NOC just means your occupation. It qualifies your occupation. Canada is very organized. They call it NOC or they call it tier. Okay, so you're for nurse aides, NOC 33102, food attendants 65201, light duty cleaners, people who clean. You see, you can come to Canada if you're a cleaner, if you're a professional cleaner, you know what you're doing. And they call them janitors here. See, in Canada, they respect people who clean. I mean, everybody is an egalitarian society. I think I've mentioned this before. Whether you're a cleaner, whether you're a banker, everybody's respected, everybody's equal. Okay, everybody's respected. They have the truck drivers 73300, and they have tons of them. Now, the thing about the occupation in demand, you need to have a job offer from a Nova Scotia employer. Yes, you need to have job offer in these skills I mentioned: food and beverage, food attendants, light duty cleaners, truck drivers, nurse aides. You have a job offer in either of this, you're good to come. They are the occupation in demand. You need to have 1 year work experience. You need to be between the age of 21 to 55. You need to have a Canadian language benchmark of 4, and you need to show proof of fund. And you also need to show like a certification, so that you're a cleaner. You have to, if you want to go and take a course online, or you want to go to, like, say, a cleaning school in your region, please by all means do, because they will ask for a form of certification. So if you have your BSc, that's fine. They need to see a certification. If you don't, I mean, you can always do the equivalent through ECA, right? Educational Credential Assessment. These are things I've talked about again and again, and we'll keep on talking about them again and again so that you get the information. So this will be the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, I would love to see your comments in the comment section. Next week, we'll continue with the Atlantic program. So next week, we'll be talking about Newfoundland and Labrador, or Prince Edward Island. Okay, and After that, we'll do a summary about all the 4 provinces. We'll probably put like the scenario-based question, put them in category, and we'll choose, okay, which one works better based on this person's job occupation, like the way we did last week. So again, this is Beatrice with Canada International Work and Study Resource Center, and I'm your expert panelist. I'm just going to do a quick recap. Today we talked about Nova Scotia provincial nomination, we talked about Nova Scotia labor market priority stream, we talked about the in-demand stream, we talked about the entrepreneur stream, the physician stream, labor market priority for physician, we talked about the occupation in demand stream as well, and international graduates in demand. I mean, Nova Scotia has 9 of them, right? And we talked about the commonality. One of the commonalities, you have to be between the age of 21 to 55. It's free. You don't have to pay like you pay for British Columbia or Ontario. You have to have a CLB language of 4. I usually recommend you get 7 or higher just to save yourself, right? And you have to show proof of fund. These are the commonalities. Regardless of any of the stream you're applying for Nova Scotia, these 4 commonalities apply to all of them. Okay, and you have to have 1 year work experience or equivalent. So please, if you are a student and you're looking to study in the province of Nova Scotia or Alberta or Saskatchewan, Ontario, or Newfoundland or Labrador, anywhere else, send us a DM on our Facebook and we'll definitely help you with that. Book a one-on-one clarity call. This is a generic webinar and this is just for information. But the skill you have, do you know what province would work best for you? Shogodo Oladele Patience, good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria. I just love putting your informations out here just to encourage my viewers so that they can comment. I mean, don't shy away from this. And also network amongst yourself because you never know who would be of help when you eventually move to Canada. So, yeah, so book your clarity consultation. I mean, you can be a doctor, you can be a manager, and you may be thinking of going to Ontario, but maybe Ontario wouldn't be the best for you. I've talked about Nova Scotia now, and I will see tons of DM people like, I watched one of your webinar on Nova Scotia, I want to come to Nova Scotia. What if Nova Scotia is not looking for you? So book your clarity call. It's just going to be 1 hour. It's just for 60,000 naira, which is equivalent to $100. Send us a DM. We'll send you a customized link, and once you're ready, you make the payment. We can go ahead and start that consultation, and you will be speaking with me. And it's going to be very elaborate. I'll also give you an assessment. Yes, I'll give you a free assessment so that we'll know where you're at, and we'll streamline you to one of the best provinces so you don't waste time and money like I did. Okay? And miss out on great and invaluable opportunities. Okay, so quickly for our package, we'll also be bringing out a flyer with all our package plans. So be it for permanent residency, be it for studying, be it for work, be it for visiting. You can actually visit Canada as well. All that will be communicated on the platform. Make sure to follow us, share our page with your friends and family, book a consultation with us, and book and patronize our service. Like I said, we're RTIC licensed, we're ethical, we bank on integrity. We'll provide you with accurate information. Okay, so until next time, I will give it 2-3 minutes for questions. I'll give it 2-3 minutes for questions. I know this is working hours out there. That's why we're not getting as much people, but I will give it some time, and I would love to see your comments. So I'll just give it some time. Any questions you may have, I'm open to answer those questions amicably. Okay. Any questions or concerns? Is there any questions or concerns? Patience, do you have any question? Okay. So if there are no questions, I will call it a day. So quickly, our study package is 250,000 naira. Visa is $500. Master's 275,000 naira. Visa is 500 Canadian dollars. Now, if you've used a different consultancy in the past and you want to do your visa, you just pay $700 and Canadian dollars. They won't do the visa for you. Let's say you got your admission yourself. We can help you with the visa package, okay? Anything or any concerns or questions you have, send it to our DM and our experts would reply to you amicably and on timely, because I had some issues here and there were people saying, oh, people are not responding. Don't worry. We've hired more people and we'll definitely get your questions answered amicably. So this is Beatrice again with Canada International Work and Study Resource Center. I'm your host and I help you with everything Canada to ensure you have a smooth transition to your new home. Okay, it doesn't have to be painful. It can be painless and enjoyable. Have fun. have do your touring in Canada if you want to visit, and just enjoy the beautiful country that is well organized and structured. Okay, so until next time, see you and have a good rest of your day. Bye. So I'm just going to do my glasses again. Okay, so this would be it for today. See you next week. Okay, cheers. Bye.